Hey y'all, and welcome back. This is Tiffany and What It's Like. So today I am going to be repairing a nail that I broke, but I also wanted to share how I do my nails. So I use these two before I do any application of any of the polygels. I've been using this Power Bond and this base gel foundation, and I just started using this polygel recently. I really like it, got on Amazon. And before I do anything at all, I usually wipe off the nail bed with a rubbing alcohol. And these are the nail forms that I recently started using as well, and I love them. They have completely been a game changer for me. They actually hold the shape correctly, and they stick really well, in fact, almost too well. And I find that the shape that I set when I form them seems to hold up really well in the polygel application. So I already had a base layer of polygel on my nail bed. It had broken right at the edge of my nail. I actually did this while I was outside doing some landscaping and outdoor work, so I'm surprised that I hadn't had one broken before. But I just went ahead and filed down the nail that was a polygel that was already on there, and filed the free edge because it was kind of jagged, and cleaned it up a little bit and tried to remove any of the nail polish that was still left over. And just started to form it, extending onto from the nail bed outwards. And this gel is I really like it actually. I have noticed that it is a lot thicker, I guess, or stickier. I don't really know what it is, but it has a lot slower of a kind of moving around and shifting. And because of that, it's also a little bit harder to form. I actually did have to use the polygel brush, I guess the brush that people are using with builder gel and polygel, because this gel, I have to actually push it around. It's not so much brushing it. Brushing only smooths it, and so I have to, in order to actually put it into place, need to actually push it with the brush. And I've noticed that this brush that I got originally for hard gel was not actually, it's not holding up very well to this. It works and it's fine, but I've noticed that it kind of spreads out too easily, and so the brush isn't staying together. And so when I'm trying to smooth it, I found I had to use a brush that I had used with my other polygel, which is actually, this is just a art brush. This is just something I got at the craft store. And this one has a longer brush head, which I find is much better for shaping, kind of like smoothing out the shape, I guess. So what you just saw me do there, something that Susie from Nail Career Education did and showed us, is that clean off your spatula between applications. It seems like a really great idea, so I've been doing that. And what I do between layers, as you're noticing right here, is I actually do a 10-second cure. So I do a layer of polygel, I get it to about the shape that I want it to be, then I do a 10-second cure, then I do another layer on top of that, and get more of the shape that I want, the apex, maybe build up around the cuticle area. I haven't had flooding with this acrylic gel or polygel. I have not had flooding problems with this one. I did with my last one, and that's why I started to do my polygel application this way. It was such a mess before. Like, I was always dealing with it running all over the place. And with this particular one, it does not seem to budge as much. So I actually get a much more, I don't know, I'm a lot happier with the result. But because I'm still kind of nervous from the old gel I was using, I kind of, especially on my middle finger, I'm finding it hard to just shape it the way I want. Instead, I kind of overdo it. I tend to apply a little bit too much gel and end up filing some of it off, which I think is okay considering I'm not professional, but I have tried to get more efficient with my gel use because, it just seems like a good idea. But this stuff is really cheap, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. But yeah, it's just such a nice gel to work with, and it's really hard to mess up. Like I'm telling you, this stuff is actually I would highly recommend this particular one to beginners because the other stuff I used was such a headache. I can't even, no, it was just, yeah, it was all over the place. And with the shape that I've chosen with my form, I took a note from Now's Nails with Christy. She really aims for a C shape in her nail, and I found that it seems to kind of look better when I did that. Plus, I think that it adds more strength on the side walls because I think that that's actually why my nail broke, because I had filed off too much, my nail was too shallow, I guess you could say. So I really bend the form to accommodate that shape because I really like my ballerina to be really narrow. I don't like any bulk on it at all, so I have a hard time getting enough polyacrylic in there in order to accomplish that without it being too weak. So here I'm just applying another layer. I realized that the apex was developed, but I didn't actually put enough bulk towards the end of the nail. And this was where I had a little bit of a challenge, the polyacrylic being so kind of hard to work with, and not really hard to work with, but just hard, I guess. I had a hard time getting that edge smooth, and so there's more polyacrylic there than will be when I file it off. And you can jump to 14 minutes if you do not want to see the building or the shaping, which there's a little bit of. Jump to 14 if you want to see the painting part. And for my slip, I just use regular 91% rubbing alcohol. It works really well and it's cheap. So I have just gotten this e-file. It's a really cheap one off of Amazon, and I'm going to do a review about that soon. But I was trying to do a basic shaping of it, and I found the e-file to be great for removal of product, like to go from, back to the bare layer so that I could build up and fill and all that. But I find it kind of hard to actually shape the nail, and I don't know if it's just the angle or what. So I found that hand filing is just the only way to go for me. The polygel is so soft that it just files beautifully, and I get exactly the shape that I want with this file. So I just keep it simple and hand file it. And make sure to wear a face mask when you do nail filing. That stuff, I would not recommend anybody inhaling it. Sorry about the focusing. It was hard to tell. So this acrylic gel is really clear. It's really nice. I prefer the clear over the other colors, the more opaque colors. So these are the two paints, the nail polishes that I'm using today, Morgan Taylor and Zoya. I love Zoya. And these are, I just was needing some green, and then I was like, what do I add to the green? Of course, you add a sunrise color, why not? So I started applying this base gel onto my polyacrylic before I put paint on. Again, Susie at Nail Career Education had a recommendation of that, and I found what is so great about it is it keeps the polish, because I'm just using regular nail polish, it keeps it from absorbing into the acrylic, and then you don't have to file down so far. It stops, it's like a barrier. So when I apply this green, it goes on really smoothly, and I have had absolutely no problems with regular nail polish having any reaction with polygel. It does sometimes act a little funny, but I've noticed that it's only with either cheap paints or with paints that are known for having trouble, like neons. They seem to just not apply correctly at all. But Zoya is beautiful. It flows nicely on the polygel. And so I decided, I've been playing around with top coats. I love gel top coat, but you know, you have to wait to apply it onto regular polish. So this is the latex barrier that I used. It's really easy to use, it's really easy to peel off, and it's just, I don't know, it's just, you gotta have it, you know, if you do any nail art or anything like that. Plus the peel porn, that just, you know, oh my god, peeling latex off, so satisfying. And as you probably know, it has glitter in it, so that when it's dry, you can see the glitter. That tells you it's dry. So for some reason, I could not see myself on camera and did not actually get myself sponging the orange color on, the glitter on. So basically, I put the color on one side, and the orange color on one side, and I put the green on another, and then just blotted it on. I basically just use the orange glittery color and use that mostly, and then use the green sometimes to kind of touch it up. And the Séché Vite I've started to use again. I love this stuff. I use it as a temporary top coat kind of until the nail polish is fully cured, which I usually wait till the next day to do a gel top coat because I cannot beat that gel top coat shine. But this is such an awesome, fun fall color combination, and in the daylight, it just looks freaking fantastic. And I thought I had messed this up initially when I first did it, and then I kept playing with the idea, and I decided to just do an ombre, and I like can't quit the ombre right now. I don't know. The transition from green into the orange of fall. And I think it's also pumpkin colors. I love it. Yeah. So thanks for joining me for my first nail tutorial or exhibition. I'm not sure what to call this. Let me know if you'd like to see more.